Welcome to the Life Chat Podcast, seeking the truth with Derek Powell, navigating you through. Every Wednesday night, new topics ignite. Join the journey, let's take flight. Bringing insights that change our view. Derek's voice, clear and true. Tune in each week, discover new light. Life Chat Podcast, reach a new height.
Thank you for joining me tonight with my special guest, Ms. Tracy Toccara, pinkelephantpinkcloud founder. Tonight's topic of discussion is purpose and direction. Your purpose is your mission, your reason for living, your passion, what you're on this earth to do, something that is unlikely to change over the long run. But your direction is your vision, short and medium-term goals that define the direction you will take your life and career. So what I gather out of this information is my purpose is what I'm here to do. What do I feel like my goal, my overall goal is in life? What is my destiny? What do I want my legacy to be when I finally depart, when I finally leave here? That's the mission, the reason for living, the passion. Because majority of the time, there's something that we really love to do, something that we feel as though we're good at, something that really piques our interest, and that's the thing that we're passionate about. You know, sometimes it might change. Of course, mentioned this before. Our passion, it might change over the course of our lifespan, depending on where we're at in life. Along with that, when the passion changes, the direction is going to change because we're going to have to take a different course to reach that goal. You know, let's equate it to a football game. The purpose of the football game, the purpose is to score touchdowns. That's the goal. The goal is to score touchdowns. The direction would be, how are you going to get to the end zone? How are you going to score the touchdown? Are you going to run the ball? Are you going to pass the ball? Are you going to fake and kick a field goal? You know, the direction might change depending on what the purpose is at that point, because sometimes it might just be just to get a first down. If I feel that my purpose is to use my experiences and, you know, everything that I've been through in my life thus far to help guide somebody else down the road of positivity, to help maybe give somebody some information or insight or input that could possibly help them move forward and get to where they want to be, where they see themselves. The situations I put myself in led me up to this point. Looking back now, that's made me into a better person, a better man, actually a better father. So my direction is using this platform. My direction is also the way that I speak to people, the way that I treat people. That's what my direction is. My direction is going to help me get to the purpose. If the purpose changes and the direction changes, roll with the punches. But right now, we're just going to get into our featured guest contributor, Ms. Tracy Toccara, the founder of pinkelephantpinkcloud, a friend of mine, consider her to be my sister, a very loving person. Who is Tracy Toccara? What is Tracy Toccara's goal? What is pinkelephantpinkcloud?
Thank you, Derek. So I am just an ordinary person, right? That kind of went through some trials and tribulations through life. So I had to find a way to turn my pain into purpose. And for me, and you used a lot of my keywords, Derek, when you were defining both purpose and direction. But purpose for me is like the compass that guides your soul. It's something that you're very passionate about. It's something that's very clear, that sticks out both in your heart and in your mind. And it fulfills every step of your journey in life, basically. And that's what Pink Elephant Pink Cloud has done for me. Creating that clothing brand has definitely put me on a path to not only better myself, but hopefully to better others as well. It's a goal in mind that I didn't have to follow any rules for, right? It just came right out of my heart. It helps me to always maintain that sobriety in my life. It helps me to stay on that recovery journey as well. And for direction, I think of it kind of like a business plan. You know, what is your mission? What is your vision for your life? Like you said, what are your goals, short term and long term? Also, what is your target? What is your ultimate what is the ultimate thing that you're trying to achieve, basically. And one of my mentors defined it the best way that I've ever heard it ever explained before, and that is looking at your purpose and direction as if your purpose is to go pick up a check, right? That's the only thing you have to get on the road and do. Your purpose that day is to go pick up your check. And your detours are going each and every way except for the direction that you're supposed to be headed in. Meaning like you're stopping off over here to see your dealer, you're going over here to the liquor store. You're doing everything except what your main focus is supposed to be. So that's something that I've always think about actually every day that I'm doing my business because I don't want to fail. I always want to keep that goal in mind and always stay straight and narrow.
And when you said you don't want to fail, that's a common thing because, nobody wants to fail. It's not necessarily a failure. It's a lesson. We might not reach the goal initially. We might not feel like we're where we're supposed to be, like I said earlier, but it's a lesson. So if we take that and build on it, learn from it, and we move forward, because we actually, that's just a nugget to help us gain more knowledge on how to fix that thing, how to actually move past that issue.
That's very true. That's very true. I like that you said that. Because everything does happen, good, bad, or indifferent, right? And we have to use those things as lessons learned. I feel like we, as people, especially in recovery, we always have a role of playing both teacher and student throughout our entire life, right? We learned a lot through our addiction, and we're using those as stepping stones to bring us closer to what our purpose and direction is in life.
Since you mentioned the recovery part, but the addiction part, we always try to throw that in there no matter what the topic is, because that's just part of our story, part of our life, part of our makeup, part of who we are, and part of the reason that we're even here doing what we're doing today. Just being a person that has been on both sides. I talked about this earlier today at another place. A person that's being on both sides, from active user or addict, however you want to view it, active user, and then being on this side in recovery, it leads right back into the purpose and direction. Using a substance, cocaine, which was my thing, cocaine and alcohol, I'm using a substance that I have no clues what's in it. I don't know what's in it, but I'm getting it from this guy down the street, this guy around the corner, this dude in the alley, whatever, wherever. And I'm going to use it, and I don't know what's in it. Something that could possibly kill me or harm me. And I'm going to continue to use it because I'm chasing that feeling. Just a feeling of escapism. Just getting away from the issues, the problems that are at hand. But I'm actually just creating another problem on top of those problems. The purpose is to escape the feelings and emotions that I'm going through at the time. And the direction is using the substance to get to that point, to reach that feeling. So purpose and direction is not just about a successful life, or a big, beautiful home, and this and that. There's a purpose and a direction, even in sad to say, even in a negative, from a negative standpoint too. But we can still use that as a life lesson and turn it around and reach the point that we're at now. Not saying that we have it under control or we got it or we're healed. None of that. But it's definitely a better lifestyle living on this side than that side.
It is, and I think it also helps us to remain accountable for our actions. But I wanted to go back real quick when you said that using was like an escape from our emotions. And that's so true, but it's a temporary escape, right? So if we turn that into something good, if we flip it and use our purpose as something to not temporarily, but hopefully permanently escape negative emotions and to make it more positive, make our lives more positive, I think we're in a win-win situation all around. Because I know for me, my alcoholism was basically the bane of my existence, right? It was my enemy, my arch nemesis. It had me just doing things and believing in things or that weren't true to myself. They weren't a part of my values, my morals, and definitely not a part of my purpose and direction in life. I feel like the purpose and direction are things that are preordained for us as long as we stay the course. And being on here with you tonight, you're proving it alone with your podcast, Derek. And I hope that I'm also proving that alone with Pink Elephant, Pink Cloud. So Pink Elephant is basically the person that was in a drunken frenzy, is all over the place, out of control. And pink cloud means the euphoria that you feel when you're in sobriety. So that's something that I always want to hold on to, that last piece. Hopefully, always creating euphoria with my business, the t-shirts that I design, the hoodies that I design, especially one that I created not so long ago that says "still here" with the semicolon in the middle. That basically says that, I'm still here. My story still continues.
I never knew what Pink Elephant Pink Cloud actually came, where it came from, what it stood for. So I'm glad you elaborate on that. I'm still trying to get the visual of a pink elephant out of my head. I mean, that's just me and my thoughts. I'm just gonna say that's your contribution. Not just that, but your books. Congratulations on your books being published, your poems. So can you give us a little bit more about what led you to the point of even wanting to reach these goals of coming up with Pink Elephant Pink Cloud? How did you get to the point of even wanting to start that business? And what brought you to the point of writing the books and wanting to write the books and actually carrying it out with the messages that they carry?
It actually started probably like 5 years ago when I first stepped into rehab. So yeah, I've been doing this for a little while now. But I always had a piece of paper and a dictionary with me, because I would always find words in the dictionary and write a poem about it. So that's actually how it came about, just wanting to express myself in a more positive way. And then I thought, like, why not share it with others? So the first book, Pink Elephant, Pink Cloud, is basically a collection of confessional poetry. So it's basically me telling on myself a little bit in hopes that it reaches the audience that's reading it. The Littlest Cheerleader, Charlie and Mommy's Reunion, is using my dog Charlie and myself as a mom and hoping that it resonates with kids whose parents, are going through similar experiences of rehab and addiction. And then the last one, Whispers of Introspection, it's basically free verse poetry, again, where I'm telling on myself, but I'm a lot more raw with it. There's no like escaping or denying like what I've gone through. I was on a job for 15 years, and I thought that was my purpose for a long time because I stayed there even through like manipulation and a boss just kind of like telling me that she wasn't happy with my performance, and let alone I've been there for 15 years. And then at the same time, simultaneously, I was in a 15-year relationship as well. It was very emotionally abusive. I want to share those things, and I hope that I'm sharing those things not only through the books that I've published, but again, also through my clothing brand, Pink Elephant Pink Cloud. And like the ultimate goal at the end of the day is to hopefully create a nonprofit that will fully give back to our brothers and sisters that are in recovery, providing hopefully food and donated clothing, or just to come chill out with people that are just like them, just like us, because we always need to feel like, we're wanted and we're loved and we're cared about, and that there are people out there that can relate to our stories and our situations.
It just caught my attention when you said that you would carry around a dictionary and pick a word out of the dictionary and write a story about that word. I never, ever in my life heard anybody say anything even close to that. Congratulations on your successes with your book and your clothing line. As of today, I'm at 95 days clean and sober. I got my coin today. For me, that's a big accomplishment because 90 days for me was my nemesis. I couldn't get 90 days clean and sober for a long time. It took me a year. Sadly, it took me a year to get 90 days clean and sober. And so many things that happened within these 90 days, so many good, positive things that happened in these 90 days. It's kind of amazing to me. But I'm just going to keep pushing forward and keep doing what I'm doing. But back to Tracy, back to what you were saying about having the environment, a sober environment. That is so much of a needed thing right now because I think a lot of times people just look at a person that's struggling and they just see that person. They don't try to get involved. We don't end up being on the street by choice. We don't end up being on the street. We don't end up being in prison. We don't end up being under a bridge or sleeping under somebody's porch. We don't end up in these situations by choice. These are things that happen as a result of the addiction. And sometimes I think people don't really realize what that whole process is about, what it's like, what the feelings are, the whole obsession where you think about it all day long. That's what you think about, getting a drink all day long. If you don't get that drink, now you get the jitters, you get the shakes, you might get irritable. Not being able to, the thought of using cocaine or or heroin, whatever your DOC is, whatever your drug of choice is, whatever you choose to use, that takes over your whole thought process. A lot of days that was all I wanted. I'd rather do that than eat. Don't offer me no food. Don't offer me no food. Offer me a beer. Offer me a pint of liquor. Offer me a hit of crack. Offer me some of that. You can keep the food. And that's the sad part. I would rather destroy myself than to sustain myself. You want to be happy. You want to be some joy there. You want some peace there. You want to be able to sustain yourself, not just be, not just not use and still be miserable, and not use and be angry and irritable all the time, or be a complete idiot to other people. You want to move on with your life and build your character up and help somebody else along the way. Which of your ventures is the most, you feel as though is the most fulfilling to you?
The clothing brand, definitely. And that's because I'm telling a story with every article of clothing that I design. Something that will remind people when they're wearing these articles of clothing that there is a better way, or, to provide some motivation, and put some compassion into people's hearts that are not only just wearing it, but people that are seeing the clothes being worn. One of my favorite ones is a sweatshirt that says, "Don't be ashamed of telling your story because it may save someone else," right? And that's basically what we're both doing here tonight. And in saying that, I feel like it's important for me to mention that having Pink Elephant, Pink Cloud helps me to remain accountable for my actions. On a daily basis, I have to remember not to rest on my laurels, right? Not to become complacent, not to think that just because I've achieved something that I'm done. I'm never done. It's never going to be finished. I always have to put my best foot forward on a daily basis because, for example, and I'll tell myself, I relapsed, 6 months ago, and I was so ashamed and so embarrassed. I'm like, how can I pick up a drink again when I'm like, I have a brand behind me? What are people going to think about that? But in actuality, it kind of benefited me because people can see that, yes, it's hard, but yes, there's always a way out. You don't have to, stay stuck in a situation. Reach back out, get the help that you need, and get back on track, and have that purpose fuel you to keep moving forward. And I think it's also important to not take your will back, because I feel like for me personally, I do that a lot. I have a problem with that. Like, everything's going well. Okay, I can just kind of chill out and be a little complacent and, not always do my best, but that's not true. And not to sound redundant, but you always have to put your best foot forward on a daily basis.
That's not sounding redundant. That's just a fact of life. I remember when you came back into the rehab. We were at the same rehab, Avenues in Cambridge, Maryland, and I think Avenues, man, that really kind of started me on this venture. But I remember when Tracy came back, and I already went back because I had relapsed too. And I went back to Cambridge to Avenues, and Tracy came in and she looked over and we surprised because we were there before, because this is a journey, and it may take some people more than one time, more than two times, more than three times, but as long as you get back up and keep pushing forward. But I remember sitting at the table in the dining room, and Tracy was feeling so bad that she had used, that she had drank, and Tracy, you still have another chance. Some people don't make it back from anything. People die from alcoholism, so you made it back. That's what I remember myself telling you, that it's cool, it's okay. You don't have to beat yourself down. 'Cause I know I wasn't gonna beat myself down. I feel like as long as we got an opportunity and we get back up and we push forward, that's what makes us this right here. This right here, Alumni Strong. This is an Avenues t-shirt, and this hashtag Alumni Strong means a whole lot. Not only are we addicts, but we are basically a family, a unit, because we try to keep each other accountable. We stay in contact with each other. We uplift each other. We find ways to get together if we can. You know, we may not be from the same area, but we live in a technological era. We can always FaceTime. We can always video message. We can always do things like this, like doing a podcast. We can always reach out to others and try to give back some way, somehow, or just keep other people lifted up and keep us moving forward as being recovering people. As long as we just keep moving forward, and you said it, put your best foot forward, there's always going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. As long as you don't give up on yourself. I used to call myself superstar. Sometimes I still do. But I feel like saying that to myself is like a booster. If I consider myself to be a superstar, and I used to try to explain this to people, I consider myself to be a superstar. I call myself a superstar because I believe in the power of words. If I call myself a superstar, it's probably going to give me more incentive to try to move toward that, to carry myself like as if I'm already successful. Because now I'm changing the narrative. I'm pushing away the negative and then grabbing more of the positive. You know, uptalk. If I talk down on myself, if I treat myself bad, you can imagine how other people are going to treat me, you know? And I think that we just overlook that whole self-esteem thing. We overlook that whole part about being there for our own self, showing up for our own self. If we don't show up for ourselves, we can't expect other people to. When I'm in my addiction, there's really not a whole bunch of glory. There's really not a whole bunch of happiness. The only excitement is when I have the substance in my hand and I'm ready to use it, whether it's alcohol or cocaine, crack. That's the only time. That's the only excitement for me. You know, like I said before, I really don't bring me a sandwich. If you got the opportunity to bring me a sandwich or a bottle, I'll take the bottle. Sadly, you know, I'll deal with the hunger later on because I probably already sold my food stamps. So I'm not going to be able to eat. I'm not going to be able to buy what I want to buy anyway. And once I'm in my addiction, there's no need for me going to buy a whole bunch of food because I don't have anywhere to put it because I'm going to be homeless. Been there, done that too many times. I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to be talked about. I know what it feels like to be looked down on. I know what it feels like for people to, you know, say, oh, they just want to do that and not know the full situation. You know, empathy is a big thing. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes.
I love that. And you just made me think about something like purpose doesn't have to be something tangible all the time, right? It can just be getting up in the morning and making your bed. It could be saying I'm a superstar every day, like those daily affirmations. It could be manifesting what you want to happen in life. So it doesn't always have to be something tangible. It can just be something that makes you feel good inside, that sets fire under your feet, that makes you just want to live for tomorrow. And I can't say how important that is because so many times that I've tried to commit suicide, like that's a huge part of my story. One of my biggest things is stillness. I talk about stillness a lot because sometimes you just need to just sit still and reflect. Reflect on the moment. Reflect on your short-term goals, your long-term goals. Where do you want to be in your life? Sometimes just forget about the bad, right? Focus on the good that you have done. Us as addicts are some of the most brilliant-minded people I've ever met in the world. You have musicians, authors, podcasters, you know, just it's a long list. It goes on and on. And I think if we substitute the negative pain for the positive, endless possibilities for us. I really feel that way.
Being on both sides, living on both sides, having the opportunity to see different aspects. Like some people are just, you know, they're like one-dimensional. They haven't had. It's not like somebody. I don't want anybody to go out and say, "Well, I'm going to go get high because I want to see what the other side's like." No, we were those people that were in those situations. So we basically are. I want to say guides for other people. You know, I think that that's part of my purpose. Part of my purpose is for other people to see my struggles. You know, even like some of my close family members, my children even included, to see me, you know, see my struggles, to go through the stuff that we're going through together, and to see me now. I'm not the same person I was just a few months ago. You know, I'm not in the same situation because the mindset changed. The purpose changed. So the direction changed, which is going to ultimately benefit everybody that is connected to me. You know, just like you were saying about your clothing line, and you were saying about your books, how about those things are your way of helping other people, as long as they look at the shirt, read the shirt, buy the shirt. You know, it's not about the money, but if they read the shirt, look at the shirt, and ingest and digest the information that the shirt has to offer, you never know what that could possibly do for somebody at that particular time. If somebody's reading your book, you never know how that could alter somebody's mindset at that particular time. Because we go through so many different things, and not just from the eyes or the view of an addict, just people in general. Mind you, this is called life chat, you know, because we chat about life. We talk about life. We're not talking about, we're not dealing with things that we don't have knowledge of. We have knowledge of it because we experience these things. But hopefully the goal will be reached by just reaching one individual. For me, that's what it's all about. Just having just say for somebody, just when somebody says, I can relate to that. You kind of helped me out with that little tidbit of information, or I didn't know this until you said, you know, little stuff like that matters, because sometimes a lot of people want information but don't know where to get it. We might be afraid to ask for help. You really want to cry out for help, but you don't want to expose yourself for everybody else, you know, so you can feel vulnerable. A lot of times we don't want to feel vulnerable, but that's when we have our breakthrough.
That's so true. That's so true, Derek. Like I'm just thinking right now about like the shame. I was always so scared to admit that I had a problem because I didn't want to disappoint my mom, our family members, my friends that looked up to me, because I'd made a lot of achievements at a young age. And then for it all to kind of like fall to pieces on me, like I didn't want to say why or what happened. You know, I always used to say, well, my story's not as bad as the others, but it was bad for me, right? It was bad enough for me. We go through things for a reason. Nothing is just happenstance. I don't feel like nothing's just happenstance. I feel stronger today. I feel wiser today. I have a lot more appreciation for life. I have a lot more appreciation for the God-given talents that I've been blessed with. I'm happy I've gone through some of the things that I've gone through, because I wouldn't be the person I am sitting here today. I wouldn't be able to contribute to society. I wouldn't be able to contribute to my friends that are going through similar situations, and showing them and talking to them about the way out and the way to do it differently. So in a way, it's like a blessing and a curse, because it was hell, right? While we were in it, but now that we're out of it, we can do so much with that pain, finding passion in it and making something good out of it. It's not the doctor or the dentist that was chosen. It's the drunkard. It's the person that's less educated. It's the person that's on the street, that's homeless. You know, it's not that person that has the prestige and all of that. It's the person that sometimes that's overlooked because of what they've gone through, or because they have this stigma on them because of their mental health or their addiction problems. Everything happens for a reason.
I always wanted to do something different. I always wanted to do something better. But once I got back involved in using, and I went deeper and deeper each time, and once I got back involved with that, that's all that mattered to me. I threw everything else out the window. I gave up on all the aspirations that I had. Mind you, I'm the youngest of 9. I was always with my mom, always with my mother. Now, and I remember being a little kid, and I told her I wanted to be a professional football player. You know, I remember telling her I used to want to be a pro wrestler, all this stuff, right? But when you don't put in the work, none of that stuff is going to happen. It's not just going to fall in your lap and somebody's just going to walk up and say, boom, you're now a professional football. No, you're not going to do that. But if you don't put in some work, you can pretty much guarantee yourself that your chances are going to be severely decreased you're not going to have the opportunity to fulfill the goal. And our goal, which was stated earlier by the both of us, is to continue to share our stories, offer what we have, our experiences, our strength, our hope, our purpose, our direction. And hopefully, if somebody else will grasp onto what we're saying, not take it as we're trying to tell somebody this and tell somebody that. Because I know that me personally, I'm not trying to tell anybody anything. I want people to see, the experiences, to see where we come from, to see that it's possible. I don't want to say anything, but to see that this is possible. I was talking last night with as of right now, I have a temporary sponsor, but I was talking with him last night, and I was telling him about how I didn't want to go to the meeting to get my 90-day chip, my 90-day clean time chip. And sometimes I think I know everything, but that's why we use other people to bounce things off them and get them to respond to us. So his response was, "Man, that's not right. I'm like, what are you talking about?" He's like, "For you to go up there and get that chip is not for you. For somebody that's just coming in to see that it is possible to get a day clean." And that made so much sense to me. And to me, it made me feel like I was being selfish. And to think about it, I was kind of being selfish, because by me just sitting in the rooms and not going up and get my chip that I talk about all the time, that, it's hard work. It's a struggle. It's hard work, and it's a struggle sometimes to just get that one day clean. If I didn't go up there and get that chip, that is being selfish toward the person that's just coming in, or may have just come from a rehab, or may just be just came off the street and come into the room and not seeing somebody go up and get their chip. Then they're like, what am I even here for? No matter how much time we have away from the substance, we just had today. We just had today. We just had this 1 minute. We just had this 1 hour. We just had this 1 second, because nobody is guaranteed anything in life.
We're all not here just to give in or to settle. There's so much out there for us to achieve. And again, purpose can be making your bed, even fixing your mom a cup of coffee, just seeing someone smile. It doesn't have to be something that's tangible. And if you stay the course, stay focused on your direction, which is your mission and vision, like you said, Derek. You can't lose. Fall down 7 times, get up 8, right? You don't have to stay down.
Thank you, Tracy. For everybody watching, this is Tracy Toccara on Life Chat Podcast, a special guest contributor, founder of pinkelephantpinkcloud. Tracy, can you give us your information one more time for people that may be listening, maybe want to buy some of your clothing, buy a book? Can you give your information one more time, please?
Sure. It's www.pinkcloudsober.com. So you can find my books on there, t-shirts, have a lot of hoodies. Thank you all.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, everybody that was watching. Thank you for the people that will watch the videos later. Appreciate you for tonight. Please support Life Chat Podcast, Pink Elephant, Pink Cloud, and I appreciate you. So I just want to say good night, be blessed, be safe.
Tune in each week, discover new light. Life Chat Podcast, reach a new height.